togetherness is a magic without words. Togetherness is our magic without words. Blessings, blessings, blessings be. And in order to advance, to encompass the light of pure sentiment, we need to polish the window, the lens of the you that was you before anyone got involved. You'll notice that when you hold a young baby, it's got that young baby smell, and it absorbs all stress like a sponge, and it doesn't get tired. There's a special light that emanates from little children.
Where's your nose? Where's your eyes? Where's your head? Where's your ear? Where's your teeth? Where's your cheek? Where's your arm? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
We all have that light as a birthright.
I love kids. I love hanging with kids because I feel like they're teaching me, man. I want to know what they got to bring to the world because they are geniuses, like you said. Let me learn from source, from that.
You're not learning from them. You're experiencing their innocence, and it's reminding you not to lose your innocence as an adult. And as you remain in your innocence and your purity and integrity and you keep playing as an adult, that child will always remember the adult that remains in its innocence, and it will get out of its head and not be so serious and judgmental. Does that make sense? The gesture is always the gesture. It always makes the room laugh because it's light-hearted. It's the fool in the tarot, and it doesn't plan its next step. It just dances, and the wind will catch its step.
Get out of my head.
We have no idea of what they can bring to this reality, so long as we're constantly teaching them, as opposed to learning from them. And as Camilla beautifully said, they also are there to remind us of the inner child inside each and every one of us, you see. Living in flow, basically.
Around me. And it just naturally happens. Like I'm this...
I love you so much.
I love you so much. It's like I'm this like giant rosebud that's like opening up, and as I do that, it's like the other rosebuds around me, and we're all rosebuds, are like, oh, hey, oh, we can do that? Oh, I didn't know that we could do that. And it's not that they didn't know, it's just sort of like they start opening the way that I have opened. And then when I come into spaces like... Love you.
Hi.
And my rainbow friend. Here's my rainbow friend. You enjoying the fruit? Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, yum, yum, yum. Finally. I know. Enjoy. Enjoy. Hi. Oh, how beautiful is this? Oh, yeah. And the apples as well. Enjoy.
When I come into spaces such as this, Rainbow, how you have opened and gotten into your flow state, it actually, without even, it's like through osmosis, just by being here, helps all of us open and get into that flow state without having the language of it. It's just this knowing and this feeling. And so I just really appreciate
from me. And see that wee lassie that keeps telling you she loves you? She's the apple and you're the tree. And the magic you can see in her is already inside you, you see, otherwise you couldn't have given it to her in the first place. And she glows like a rainbow. Purity of frequency.
She definitely does.
It's in us. can never love. It's there. I call it the little dot of pure karma. What people get involved and they leave a fingerprint on that lens, that light. Or they leave their impression, their color. And they obstruct that light. Sometimes people are very sensitive. They feel too much and they cannot cope with the amount of violence and friction in the world, or the amount of violence and friction inside themselves that they're repressing. So they push down that extraordinary window, that extraordinary light. But it is within everyone. That light, that little dot. The understanding at a mystical standpoint is that primordial man and woman were originally energetic beings of light. And in spirituality, when we say there's a being of light, light is a word for intelligence, awareness, transcendence, enlightenment. And there were beings of enlightenment that were not finite. They were circulating infinitely, eternally. And what was formidable and extraordinary is that in tradition, they were circulating back to back, like DNA swirls around. This is a fascinating tradition to focus on, because the way they normally teach in Judeo-Christian tradition, primordial man, primordial woman, is that the woman was taken from the side or the rib of the man. And, it's not the mystical tradition at all. The mystical tradition is that man and woman were one. They were circulating with each other back to back. And then they were extracted as separate. From the side. So the back was made separate, and the consequence of that is profound, because there's no hierarchy when you understand it that way. And on a spiritual level, in the mystical sense, the masculine energy, it denotes what is realized, what has come into realization, what you've come to make your own, to encompass. And the feminine energy, it denotes what remains beautifully absorbed, but still hidden. Still somehow you don't encompass it yet. So when it's spiritually, it's like a fire that is semi-mystical. It is beyond you. A good example of feminine energy is if you go to the East, they'll talk a great deal about the great nothingness. It's the mother, the womb, from where all divinity comes from. It can't be understood. A great deal about the great nothingness. It's the mother, the womb, from where all divinity comes from. It can't be understood by the mind, but it can be felt and circulated by the heart. They talk about this discipline very much in Dzogchen Buddhism. However, in the mystical tradition of the Kabbalah, it's not contrary at all. Because in the Kabbalistic tradition, the eternal, the almighty, the all that is, emanates from nothingness. Yesh me'ayin. Something from nothingness. Now, a lot of people translated Yesh me'ayin to credo ex nihilo, and they say something from nothing. But something from nothing doesn't make any sense. The tradition is the nothingness. And the nothingness is beyond conception, beyond the eyes of divide. You cannot deduce it. You cannot reduce it. There will be no reductionism to the nothingness. Because if you try to calculate or reduce it, you cut off its circulation. And so for this reason, the prophetic tradition of the Kabbalah, it involved in unifying the part of divinity that is the Almighty with the great nothingness in circulation. There's a lot more of the nothingness part of divinity than there is of the Almighty part of divinity. Creation is actually a canvas, and the nothingness is the painter. So the discipline is the unification. And when we talk about unification, we're talking about a harmonization, a synergy, a circulation. And so if you track deep into it, you'll see an astounding revelation. And that is that in the East and in the roots of the West, we're in full agreement. The world is not so far apart. Now, back to Adam and Eve. Well, Adam and Chava, primordial man, primordial woman in ecstatic tradition, in the tradition of the Kabbalah. They were made of light. They were made of energy, enlightenment, and eternal. And they got separated in order to realize and fulfill the greatest love. So the realized part of divinity got separated from the greater mystery, the greater mystique. In order so that divinity can know itself, can realize itself in the truest love. In Kabbalistic tradition, there's a tree of knowledge, and the tree of knowledge is called Etz Hadas, Tov V'Ra, to know what good is by experiencing what is not good. This concept, I think Maimonides is a guide to the perplexed. He says, Adam, Adamic consciousness, human consciousness before the divide, it wasn't a tree of Tovara, good from not good. It was a tree of truth and falsehood. It was only when human consciousness ate from the network of falsehood. What is the network of falsehood? I guess a network of superficiality, a network of form, a network of objectification, a network of detachment. It would be a network of virtuality. That when human consciousness entered into the tree, the network of the virtual, where they can begin to experiencing things in attachment of form, to objectify, to commoditize, to objectify creation, to objectify creations, to objectify people, to commoditize them. Then the archetypists, their eyes opened and they saw they were naked. In other words, they felt their own limitation and shame in having seen others through a prism of objectification and commodification. In the mystical tradition, they were made of eternal light, and the word for eternal light is or. And many people in spiritual circles, they're interested in your aura. The aura comes from aura, the light. So when we talk about the light, we're talking about the enlightened part of self that is eternal. They're made of light. And when they fell through the prism of the virtual, of the commodification, of the objectification, the veil of shame, detachment, virtual, then their light dimmed and went from the word or with an aleph, with the alpha, and turned into the word or with an ayin, which is numerically equivalent to 70 and means leather, skin. So the archetype is they entered into the body consciousness, the physical consciousness, and they manifested on the world. Kabbalistic traditions, according to many opinions, they manifested into an existing, thriving world with nations and peoples as physical beings in skin suits, in bodies. And that created a distortion in their eternal nature and the eternal circulation of soul awareness. Now, in tradition, as a byproduct of this fallout, they went through a period of separation. They separated from each other. They quarreled. And according to tradition, that period lasted until the period of the year where the days are the shortest. And the Agadata, the talking story tradition, is that when they reunified, man and woman, the mystique of the great unknown and the realized that it turned into a great holiday, a great holiday of the pure sentiment of the soul. And it's recorded in the Agartha of thousands of years ago. So we're talking about a tribal people that were traumatized, weren't able to speak their language, weren't able to practice their tradition, and they formulated the secrets of their tradition into story, into codes. And in this Agadic tradition, in this talk story tradition that comes from thousands of years ago, it states that primordial man and woman, whether you call this energy Shakti or whatever you call it, the mystique, the greater mystique that connects to the great nothingness, and the realized that connects to the all that is, the Almighty, they reunified to know each other. Knowing. Knowing is a word. In Kabbalah we call it Das. Not MS-DOS. That's not true. But Das is knowingness, is the third eye consciousness. It is beyond the eyes of divide. It's beyond the deductive and the wisdom. It's a unification into sheer experiential knowledge. You know the truth because you're experiencing it. It's immersive knowledge. It's immersive knowledge. And this is true even in Dzogchen Buddhism or in the Kabbalah. It's the same. Knowingness. Knowingness is Das. The very same translation. Just in the Kabbalah, the language has a numerological science to it and a deep depth of fractal knowledge. So Das actually says the idea, it's an equation, it's like E equals MC squared. Das is delta, it's the fourth letter. So it's in all four directions, the four corners of the world. Ayin, meaning the 70 perspectives that launched us into body consciousness. Saf, which is the last letter. It's the Taf. The Taf is the same sound as the Tao in the East. And in ancient times, in Paleo-Hebrew, the Tao was two paths crossing. Convergence. Two paths crossing represents the divine feminine, the nothingness with all that is. So the word for knowingness actually shows the equation of the malady and the healing of it. Well, she prepares wonders for our passage. I am with my beloved. And my beloved is with me. Oneness calls. Oneness calls. Oneness calls.
Thank you for listening.
That was breathless. That was truly extraordinary, Sophia. Thank you. The spin cycle for a while, and can use some fabric softener. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's also a personal lullaby. So.
Okay. We're all spiritual people. We're all individuals that are invested in soul, in greater soul. We all are. So when we understand that soul is a circulatory system for existence itself, soul does not serve you. It circulates through you on its way to everything else. And at all times, soul is helping to sustain the entire body of existence, the entire body of humanity. So we understand very, very clearly that beyond the mind, whatever discipline you're coming from, if you're Buddhist, if you're Dzogchen, you're moving the mana from the heart beyond the mind. If you're Kabbalist, you're focused on the Yechidah, which is higher soul, which is coming from a place where there's circulation to the higher heart of all existence, and it's interconnecting between the everythingness and the nothingness, the Yesh and the I and the Credo and the Ex Nihilo. And so in all disciplines, there is a standard reflection of this consonance of soul sustaining all things, giving the creative vitality to all things. So when you find yourself in conflict in the world, or let's say you're in a land is in conflict with another group of people, how do you spiritually transmute that friction? And I want to emphasize, what does it mean, friction? So let's talk about technology for a minute. For a long time, in order to get things to run, you had to blow things up. So if you had a choo-choo train, you put in the call, it was burning the call, the combustion would propel the engine would get friction from all the combustion, would wear out, and that's, how the train would move forward, and it would leave pollution, would leave a fallout. That is combustive technology. In the future, we will have synergistic technology. Perhaps we're not there yet, although a good analogy would be like a car battery. Car battery recharges by using it. If you don't use a car battery, it doesn't charge. So it seems a paradox, ontological, but it is that way. The car battery charges by using it. And that's the way soul works. Your soul doesn't really run out of energy. The more you use it, the more energy it has. And it's sustainable, and it circulates. And it's not combustive technology, meaning if you are with soul, you don't need to feed on other things. You don't need to feed off other people's energy. You don't need escapism. You don't need this vice or the other vice, or to blow off steam. You don't need it, because with your soul is a harmonizer. And the harmonizer of soul is a circulatory system that sustains all of existence. Not just all of humanity, but all ecology, all living sentient beings. In mystical perspectives, they will say it sustains worlds. So what do you do when there's conflict? When you're in a conflict with a group or conflict with a person, or if you're in a land. If you're in a land where there's injustice, or there's politics, and where there's war, and there's strife between groups of people or nations, how do you maintain your compassion that you know, you're feeling. You're not callous. And also maintain soul, so that you don't get divided. Because if you're divided one against the other, you know, you disconnect yourself from the circulatory system of soul. You're not with soul. Soul is sustaining all things. So if you're not circulating soul, because you're like, okay, I have soul for these ones and these ones, but these ones not, then you're not with soul. Then you're with spirit, perhaps. But spirit could be good spirit, could be not good spirit. You know, it could be combustive spirit. You're feeding off other things. You're feeding off grievance. You're feeding off energetics, desire for wealth, for desire for advantage, whatever it is. That's not soul. So soul is simple. Soul is circulating. And so when you find yourself in a paradigm where you're at odds, whether it's politics or a country that's in friction, or a group of people, or a conflict with a person, how do you transmute that dynamic so that you don't lose soul connectivity, that you maintain soul connectivity? In fact, how do you transmute it so that you expand to greater soul bandwidth, greater soul connectivity? You know, some people, they have soul when they sleep, because there's no prejudice in their heart when they're relaxed and they're on bed and, you know, they're getting their REM sleep, then they're really pleasant and in serenity, so they have a lot of soul. But in their waking hours, wow, they're so competitive, they're feeding off, you know, predatory energy or aggression. They're not with soul. So how do you maintain, you know, soul to such a level when you're in conflict, or you're in a country that has, you know, friction, or a country at war? How do you do it? And how do you do it in a way that not only do you maintain soul, but you can optimize your soul? You have greater bandwidth of soul. You don't only have soul for yourself, you have soul for your whole family. You don't only have soul for your whole family, you're circulating soul for your whole community. You only have soul for your whole community, you're circulating soul for your entire country, or you're circulating soul for your entire world. I mean, how do you do that? How do you maintain that? That's my core question. The room is, the focus is law of oneness, spiritually transmuting conflicts, and we started off with the concept of soul, of how soul is not specifically to any one person or to any one group. Soul is a circulatory system for creativity and creation and existence itself. And to maintain a soul connection, or a greater soul connection, you can't be in conflict. You can't be saying, oh, I have soul for myself, or for my group, or for people who vote like me, or for people that are in this country but not that country. That doesn't work. That's not how soul works. Soul is a circulatory for all existence. So if you are withholding soul from any one area, any one blind spot, you are disconnecting yourself from soul. You may have a lot of spirit, but spirit is not soul. Spirit is music of your heart, and soul is like an umbilical cord from the divine. So if you have a lot of spirit, you can drive through your will and your intellect. You can drive a lot of propulsion of a creative perspective. But to maintain a soul connection, I mean, you really have to be in embrace of umbilical cord of divinity that is circulating vitality for all that's agreeable, all that's disagreeable, all that's on your side and not on your side, to all sentient beings, and to all worlds, all creations, all ecology, and more. So the question here would be, is if you're living in a time of friction, you're living in a time where countries are in conflict, or politics are in conflict, or people are in conflict, and different agendas. How do you maintain a broad soul perspective and a broad soul circulation. Like I said, this may seem quite novel to some, but for a lot of people, they don't have soul unless they're asleep, because when they're asleep, they don't have prejudice. They're relaxed. But when they're awake, they have their prejudices. And so soul can't circulate through prejudice. And as you grow on a soul level, you are redeeming the part of you that is really awesome. It's untinted by trauma or world experiences. It's the you that was you before people got involved. So it's like the pure lens without any fingerprints on it. It's a pure light. And that light is circulating for everything. So when you find yourself in a pure light, and that light is circulating for everything. So when you find yourself in a conflict with a group or people or in politics or in nations or wars or things like that, what is the technique that you can employ to maintain pure soul connection? And furthermore, what is the technique that you can use to galvanize and optimize your soul connection in spite of the conflict? The conflict actually becomes a way to leapfrog to greater soul connection. I want to explore this.
Wrap up and share some love.
I can hardly hear you, Kamala. It's like you're talking into a baked bean tin. What are you doing?
Oh, it's my cat sat on the microphone of the headphones.
There you go. Back in the blue.
Totally purring. I've been talking through fluff balls and stinky ass. Righto. Right, I'm up. Yes, I just made a coffee before. It was good. I just had to lay down, listening to all your beautiful voices, sharing the love of the cosmos through all your spectrums. Joy. J for joy. What a great transition, up, ebbing and flowing, back and forth. I had a bit of that as well through all last year and this year. Back and forth, going back into past records so we can go and clean up a few steps and see what we've missed the last time we were at that emotion, and then I guess with the new group consciousness and other people coming into the spectrum of that topic, they've also shifted it and then sent it out into that part of that dimension. So then you take a step back and you pick up on their thoughts and vibration, and you pick up on someone else's evolution. They download it to you from their soul group to your soul group, so we can all become one eventually. And that's how I see that. And then you're like, oh, that was a great piece of information, whoever sent that to me, thank you. Then you move forwards again, it's new territory, so you're going to fall over, you're going to trip, you're going to stumble, you have all these shit-ass emotions and swear and get angry and then go, whew, that's right. I don't do that anymore, don't like that feeling, but that's okay, my parents did it, now I understand why they felt that, and the old people around us. And then it helps you stop being angry at them and judge them. So then you get to show out more unconditional love, and then you send that new perception into the cosmos, and then you start seeing other people resonate, and then they catch it, they reweave it, it's like an art piece, and then they send it back in, and that's how I see that. That's why we go back and forth, and we have to keep falling and going back into those old records so we can re-clean them and new pens get invented, new paper gets invented, that kind of concept, new shoes get made, and because we've practiced from the old rubber soles of those sneakers, and then this new pair of runners comes out with the air pads and all this other stuff. Does that make sense? And then you're ending up wearing a new pair of shoes. So when you're 9, that was your favourite pair of shoes, but as we got older and that pair of shoes evolved with other people's wear and tear, get it? And tears and consciousness. It becomes a different path, so you need a different pair of shoes. Anyway, that's my bit.
You know, it's so interesting and so important for us to remember that healing is not a straight line. It's a spiral. We go down deep and we come back out around the spiral. We go down deep into the center and we go back out of the spiral. And as we do that, like you said, it's not just for us. It actually is raising the consciousness of all. And so if we can look towards those times that are not great with gratitude, it changes your perspective and allows you to do it with more love and less anger. I just love your whole share. That was beautiful, Camilla.
Thanks, beautiful. That's great. I love the way you speak. Do you do public speaking?
I am working on that right now, and I have a few friends who are getting together.
Well, from the law of oneness. Law of oneness is a basic phrase that succinctly says that the world, all of existence, emanates from a simple oneness and goes through filtration, a lens of light and shadow in order to create differentiation and free will and diversity. But it eventually circulates back into oneness, whether you see it or not. Whether it's here or somewhere else or in the future, there's expanded oneness that the world circulates through. And from the perspective of the law of oneness, how do we approach conflict? So one of the concepts of the law of oneness is that, and this is a pretty universal concept in many cultures, is eventually there'll be a golden era. There'll be a time when all of humanity evolves and we're as transcended to reach a greater wholeness and harmony, or to become resensitized or get greater senses to the butterfly effect of how we each impact our creation and how we affect each other. And at that time, there'll be brotherhood and sisterhood in a very powerful way throughout all existence. And it's pretty amazing. It's an amazing thing to contemplate. And if you contemplate it further, if you have a soul, you have a viewpoint that your emanation of an eternal machination, an eternal happening, and there's eternal circulation. So from the perspective of an eternal circulation, there's a part of you that is already incarnated at a future time, that's an avatar, a guru, that has optimized and transcended to becoming a Saadyah, or something extraordinary. There's a part of you that has a glimpse of that, has a connection to that. I want you to focus on this for a moment, that there is this beautiful dot inside you, this pure light, this pure lens, the you that was you before people got involved. And I want you to also focus that there is a part of you that is a bright sun, an emanation, a transcendent being that has optimized to such a level at a future time. And I want you to stand between these 2 points, the little dot that is you, where everything is a miracle and awesome the first time, with great awe, and to hold hands with that ancient you who had so many reps in creation and so much karma it went through, so much practice, that it has this exceptional mastery. I want you to hold hands with those 2 points. Because, and this is going to sound strange, but at a future time, everything you resist, everyone you believe is an opponent or in opposition or God forbid an enemy, all of them are your allies. They're all on the same side. That's what the predication of the law of oneness is that essentially all lights come on and everyone's on the same side. So I'd like you to take a moment, just spend 30 seconds holding hands with the pure dot that is you, the you before socialization, before anyone got involved, and the you that's in the future, a transcendent being. And I want you to hold hands and bridge between the two of them. I want you to feel that current. I want you to feel that circulation. Because when you're in the current and circulation of that, then you will receive the encouragement and vitality and nurturing of all those who you're in opposition with or have been in opposition with you, because they are your allies. And if you recognize that they are your allies at a future time, you create with that circulation from the future and from the present. And you don't have to spend any time in conflict and friction. And they could be in conflict with their future self. You can let all their friction, all their negative karma just be worked out by their future. Because their future is your ally and already on your side. It's a problem. You know, I used to write very inspirational quotes, and at a certain point in time, like, Twitter got very ugly, and you have to be snarky in order to get play. So it's a recovery, I guess, not song, poem. It's not necessary that you're hurt in order to listen to it, but it is healing if you were hurt. And it's kind of like the fall of how the leaves fall. They don't fall straight, and they land softly. So here's for soft landings. This poem is called Past Present Tense. Your eyes serenade through us of where you have been. But your smile shines ever more delicately with destinies fulfilled by satisfaction. Does your heart get worn or scratched? Rendered too callous to truly care? Did someone else's karma latch kid you into a cage of rented prejudice? Togetherness summons your soul with true discovery. And with it, your rightful destiny for you to uncover, rediscover, and through it, we grow intrinsically revealed. It welcomes you unto the true majesty of our shared innocence, where golden pastures imbue our greater senses with untarnished awe and wonderment. Our wishing well gleams truly, golden in sheer fulfillment, its reflection reveling with still greater harmony to come. With it, our most triumphant moments hold hands. They're holding hands, and we reign in our truest love. And the softest breezes we missed welcome our most serene memories to come. It is a hastening, like a melting memory of sorts, assured as the soft dew that ripens the scent of Serenity's hidden grace. With it, a reveling recollection of something transcendent. The treasures we left behind, our very conception. And in it, we grow to realize that her silver lining was always here. even tightly wrapped around every stormy cloud of glory. She fares fulfilled, even as we first fall in love or climb timidly out of trepidation. The path unspoken is feathered by her essential care, and we, like shooting stars that pierce a night sky, find our world growing into a brighter kind of night, humbled unto caress dawn long before each morning's rush. Oneness calls. Oneness calls. Resecuring true sentiment is to have the little one, you, pick up this dandelion. But the dandelion seeds are made of diamond. They're translucent stone diamond, like very light, almost like a clear canary diamond. And I'd like you to visualizing with awesomeness the euphoria of blowing it not for the field, but for the whole world by the perspective of Divinity's relationship as a paternal or maternal, a mother's love for a child, a father's love for a child. We tried to make the inner child very welcome here, and that's very characteristic of the Solutions Room. In my work, I call the inner child the part of you that was you before other people got involved. I call it the little dot. Sophia is excellent within the Berber tradition of expressing lessons from the perspective of a mother's love for a child. Sophia is very, very gifted at intuitive improvisational singing and readings, and has a wealth of knowledge from the Berber tradition. And if you're not familiar with the Berber tradition, you should go to Wikipedia and research it, because they were extraordinary. And for a great deal of history, they were discriminated against because of their distinction and their incredible prowess of spirit and of divine knowledge. And part of that divine knowledge that went through the Berber tradition was unique to the women of that tradition in how they clandestinely or mystically embrace their spiritual devotions through the everyday tasks or through the disciplines of industry, in their intention, in their focus, in maintaining the network of their culture, as the sun does for the galaxy, the women did in the Berber tradition. And today's topic that we're going to be focusing on today is falling up, seasonal spiritual lessons. So Sophia, I'm going to ask you, are there any special spiritual lessons that you'd like to share that are associated in the Berber tradition with the fall season?
With the fall season, so let's see what's come up. With the fall season, there is, so as I get those messages in an intuitive way, so the thing that comes to me the last week or the last days was this trait of the word woman in the Berber tradition in plural has two words to it, and the first word, it's called Thulawin. Thulawin, if I decompose the word, it derivates from the root ul, which means heart. And Lawi, it's a root of the verb that means heal. And commonly when we say Thulawin, that means that it's a category of women who nurture the purity of their heart. And those women, they embody certain characteristics. And one of the characteristics that came to my awareness the last days is when it comes to the season fall, we commonly think about the letting go, the renewal, the shedding, a lot of letting go, but there is also, in this season of letting go, so many people become needy, become reactive, and may create conflicts or undesirable situations. And so there is a word that we say that this category of women, they جبرنت تسويعين, which means like if you accidentally break a bone, there is a mixture that is traditionally made to help the bone like settle, not move, and heal faster. So like because this is I speak with metaphors sometimes, so there is this kind of situation where you can actually, with your presence as a woman or whatever gift you have, and especially in the Berber tradition, there is emphasis on the art and craft. Women usually, every woman has her own artistic expression, and this is what we use as a kind of a honey or a balm on a wound, or this mixture that we use like to heal a broken bone, because some situations, especially when it comes to family and relationships, may seem like a situation where it hurts just like a broken bone. So this is the lesson that came to me those days, Brian.
To in part from mindfulness tradition is when you're going through this fall season, you're going to start to see the trees are going to have the leaves, the foliage will change color, and beautiful colors. Like you'll get gorgeous golden yellow and reds, and when you watch these beautiful fall season leaves fall, you're gonna see they don't just fall straight down. They twist and they turn, like in the Sufi tradition. They spin around like a spiral, and they fall like a bassinet. They kind of fall softly, and almost like the wind is carrying them. And so it's not a direct fall. And to me, the mindfulness lesson of that is that at all times you are being carried by spirit. And even when you fall, and if you fall mindfully with soul, then you're carried and you're never falling. And the more you are carried, the more you'll spin. You'll be taken for turns. So you're going to get a full 360 exposure. You're not going to be stuck in your own perspective. Like you're locked into just your perspective of how you think should be, or what you feel is just or right. But you're going to get this kind of Sufi. I know in the Kabbalistic tradition, we just had a holiday called Atzeret, and they dance in circles, and It's like a spiral into greater oneness between your higher soul and the little dot that was you. Is still there. That little dot that was you before people got involved. So there's this continuity and there's all this perspective in between, and you're spinning between the poles of those 2 points. And when you're spinning between the poles of those 2 points, it is a spiral. It is sacred. I mean, even in the indigenous culture, they have that shell, that conch. They had that indigenous Fibonacci sequence kind of formula of that spiral. I know I call it the unicorn horn, but it's the same kind of formulation throughout creation. And when you are in that spin, you are carried by soul and spirit into a 360 perspective. You're not locked into your own perspective, like your own little Pantone. Oh, I'm in the red, I'm in the blue. No, you're getting into pure white light because you're spinning around as you're carried by soul. So you're getting the full spectrum and more. So it's not fractured light, it's pure white light coming through. And then when you land, you don't really land. You land and you kind of pop up a bit. You're primed for your next launch. So it's like a very beautiful meditation mindfully to embrace during the fall season. Is this meditation mindfully to embrace during the fall season? Is this satisfaction of all that's been done? And, you know, a very gifted girl who was graduating college and was entering into the workforce and was very, very focused on the job that she's going to get, but didn't take full ownership of all that she accomplished. And I asked her to pause and to take ownership, to take satisfaction in all that was fulfilled, all that was accomplished. Because I guess for her in college, she had to take all kinds of courses, and everybody takes all those kinds of courses together. But when you graduate, you kind of specialize, and when you're specializing, it's kind of daunting. Hey, I have to confront my own individuality. I'm no longer a group, no longer a hive mentality. But to skip the step of what you have accomplished, what you fulfilled, that is a repression, and repression is violence. And if you create with violence on the inside, you're going to experience all violence on the outside, because violence begets violence. So it's really, really important to take satisfaction. And I told her to do micro celebrations throughout the day, little moments of Zen. Treat yourself in small periods, every 2 hours, every 3 hours. Take satisfaction what you accomplish, and then you'll ask, well, what if she didn't do well on her test? What if she didn't do well in her exams? What is she taking satisfaction for? And this is the mindfulness lesson. It has nothing to do with the results. It has to do with the integrity of your heart. What was your integrity of heart as you traversed through the path, the doubt? When you had to go through this path, what was the integrity of the heart? And was your heart in true sentiment? Were you in true light, in true spirit? And if you had true sentiment, that is the accomplishment. The results in the world of the real I have nothing to do with the world of the mystique. And in the world of mystique, what doesn't show in this world shines forever. What shows here in this world kind of dims what shows forever in the world of mystique. So if you can take in this time those moments of Zen, those moments of micro-celebration, to invigorate yourself with the true heart sentiment of what you fulfilled, not to anchor yourself in it, but to circulate yourself through it from the 2 points, from the point of your higher soul to the point of the you that was you before socialization, and all the spinning that goes around as you're carried by soul, and you get that 360 perspective, and it's no longer a channel of perspective. No, it's pure white light, pure color, it's golden. And if you do that, then you transcend seasonal and you amplify soul bandwidth. Welcome, Myra and Hoda.
What I think is that I've been through the trap myself, and I got out of it with the help of Brian yesterday, because I needed to I needed to go to my inner child and take a moment to breathe, just to breathe and hug myself and really be comfortable where I am. And it doesn't matter where I'm going to go. If it's gonna take 10, 20 years, I'm not in a hurry. So coming back to that space has opened doors for has given me a gift of freedom, actually, because the more I was trapped in that situation of I need to do this and I need to do that, and how I'm going to do this, and what about this person, what about that person, it just has given me the gift to to free myself from all those attachments, codependencies, and just come back to my core and say that, yeah, it's okay, everybody has his own journey, and doesn't matter how much you love or you care for others, you just need to take distance sometimes, and it's okay, everything is okay. Some people are where they are and this is their life, and I am where I am because it's my life. And to be honest, what I did today is that I bought goat cheese. I'm not a fan of goat cheese, but there is a brand that just reminds me of my grandmother, because I grew up with a wonderful, lovely grandmother, and I was a little shepherdess with my grandmother, and we used to make milk and cheese with goat milks, and it just like brought me back to that time. And I was just like feeling the love that I got from my grandmother, and it just made my day wonderful. And then my son came home, and life is beautiful again. And there's just a moment to take a deep breath and contemplate the beauty of life, regardless of whatever is going on in the world. Yeah.
I mindfully chose to bring these ingredients into my environment so that when I need that moment of Zen or that reset, I'm not escaping where I am, what season it is. I'm engaging in the elements, the emotion, the energy of that cycle. And I find a lot of people are conditioned that when things get hard or difficult, they kind of want to parachute. They're punching out. They want to escape where they are. It's a form of escapism. And from a soul level, if you create with escape you generally attract what to escape from energetically, measure for measure. See, your goal is not to run away, to escape emotionally, because first conquer it, then shift over, but not to run away, because the torque and the tension of running away creates, I guess spiritually they would say, like a vortex, like a connection with a space where things are running away. So you connect to energy that's running away. How's that going to make you feel when you get intertwined with that? That's not going to make you feel really great. So the full mindfulness exercise would be like, let me get teas, let me get ingredients, let me get specialty products that are associated with the energy of the season. And if I do that, when I'm having a moment of depletion or exhaustion or exasperation, I take time out, I have of immersion, not escape, immersion. And when I have a moment of immersion in, is right here, is this here and now, is this season, is this energy right here. And what that will do is it will help you fall softly. And when you fall softly, you're carried by the wind. And so when the leaf is turning and twisting in the wind, it's getting a 360 perspective. It's like a whirling dervish, and it's getting all the colors and all the perspectives in. And in doing that, you're getting out of your perspective, out of your blind spot, out of your aura color. You're getting all of it. You're getting all the colors, you're getting all the perspectives. And you're also transcending it, because you're converging all the aura colors, all the channels into pure white light. So there is no perspective anymore. Everything is oneness. Everything is circulation. That is a soul level. That is universal. That is pure chi. That is pure mana. That is pure soul. That's pure Shefa. So the trick is to stylize your environment with products that are rewarding, that are not running away from the moment you're on, not running away from the season you're in, but are immersive to the very cadence, the very note, the very theme of that season. And then to don't, like, in case emergency, break glass type of vibe with, but to micro celebrate throughout your day. Find intervals every 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours to micro celebrate. What are you celebrating? You're not celebrating what you accomplished. You're not celebrating how much money you made. You're not celebrating how fast you worked. That's not what you're celebrating. Okay, because that's all variable. Things can change. Someone could show up late. A car could get delayed. Something could break down. All things can be outside of your locus of control that can shift your productivity. That is not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on the true sentiment of your heart. That you went 2 hours, that you went 3 hours of pure sentiment of your heart. And it didn't matter that nobody can see it, or few can see it. And it didn't matter that, you know, that it wasn't necessarily easy. But your true, what's unseen in this world will shine forever in soul. So it doesn't matter what people see, but to reinforce with micro celebration mindfully, immersively in the season that you're in, these micro celebrations, these micro rewards, to reinforce the train track of your true self, or your true sentiment, to allow the higher self, you, the higher soul, to connect to the you that was you before people got involved, that little dot, and to be like that leaf that's falling off the tree and spinning around and getting that 360 viewpoint of all those beautiful colors and scents and perspective, to unify all the matrices of color and all the auras and all the perspectives of the world, even if they're bent out of shape instruments at times, that immersively, all of it together, we combine it and we transcend the Pantone. We get back into pure white light. We get into diamond vision. We get into the golden path. And that mindfully, it's not happening. It's not an accident. It comes with preparation, with the preparedness. Your value system is the pure sentiment of your heart. The value system is satisfaction. How do you take satisfaction in what you fulfilled with the pure sentiment of your heart, whether people saw it or not? And to fortify it perpetually with micro-celebration. Because if you're not doing that, then you're repressing. Whether you realize it or not, you're repressing a pain in the past, or you're repressing something you disagree with, or something that you find to be pollution or toxic in your environment. And what we're not recognizing is that the repression we carry on within, it helps amplify the violence in the world. So if we're upset about how violent the world is, or how violent the news is, or how violent these are, it's because of the violence we're carrying within ourselves that those instruments of creation, they grew tone deaf. They're not able to hear themselves. So as we re-embrace our sensitivity to cultivate the true sound, then we are like that leaf that's spinning, that's carried by the wind. And it's spinning like a girdle, and it's getting all the perspectives, and it's transcending into pure prismatic diamond vision, pure white light. And it's doing it, doing it because it's a direct spin, spiral between the higher soul and the pure dot that was you before people got involved. And that's a very important way to view it in the lesson here for the fall season, is that when you're teaching or training someone early on of how to have heart coherence and mindfulness, then you're beginning to train them of how to have heart coherence and presence in each moment, in each now. And it's different than when you're in a car with a little one and they go, "Are you here yet? Is it now? Is it now? Is it live in the now? Live in the now." It's different than that. It's a release. And what as you grow spiritually, you grow to appreciate that the now is just another word for serenity. And serenity is not in the now. It's kind of in between the... Battery low. It's in between the now. It's hiding somewhere in between the nows. And serenity is a circulation that's hidden. That as we get to greater transcendence in the future, serenity will become a greater clarion, will become a greater heartfelt sensation throughout humanity. The archetype of Serenity in Wonderland, she starts off kind of insignificant, but in the end she reigns supreme. In some traditions, they call her Susanna, or she'll be coming around the mountain, the great Hosanna. serenity of the future is like this expanded charge card that you can karmically borrow from it as much as you need. All you have to do is maintain the serenity within. Because that animation of the divine feminine, it starts off, undeveloped and unsupported. But the closer we get to the illuminated time, the more she's fulfilled and the more she's reigning supreme. And in the Kabbalistic tradition, the divine feminine is called Shekhinah, it's the divine feminine fire. And in the future, she's called Malka, she's called Queen. So ostensibly, the divine feminine is serenity through the different seasons of maturation. And so being in the now is essentially having a relationship with the circulation of serenity. And a lot of people have trouble differentiating what's the difference between serenity and love. And I would give the following explanation. I mean, I always love to focus on the video of like Nim Karoli Baba, Ram Dass's teacher, and he's got his beads and he's going Ram, 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 love, 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 love. And I would say that serenity is the energy of like silk. Silk leaves an irrepressible feeling on your skin even when it's unattached. It's not clingy. And that's what serenity is. And love is more immersive. It's more attached. It's flowing, it's circulation, but it's more immersive. Serenity is a higher altitude, and it gives you some distance, some air, there's some breeziness coming through in between. So love can be a lot more passionate, it could be a lot more embrace, and serenity is just it's more of a bird's eye view. Your hot air balloon has let go of all the sandbags and you've reached a new altitude.
This is good. Don't be perfect, just make the art. So I decided to create a party in the stars, just for you and the cat